Greetings from in Uni UK. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Degina Weatherall and I'm the Director of International Student Recruitment within in Uni UK Division, a company of global university systems overseeing international student recruitment for a number of our partner universities. Today, I'm extremely excited to talk about our premium partner university, beautiful Canterbury Christ Church University, and you can actually see Canterbury Cathedral in my background. It's always sunny there, and that's where the graduations take place for CCCU students. Today, we will be specifically covering some of the most popular programs within CCCU Business School, which are MBA International, MSc International Business, and the International Foundation year, which are all available for January 2026 intake. And I'm extremely excited to be joined by colleagues from the university. So we have Kevin Balchin, Associate Dean, Global Engagement. We also have Lorna Thomas, Associate Dean for Global Engagement as well. And we'll have Claire Street, Senior Lecturer and Course Director, MBA International, who is just in the process of joining us. And as always, we have Richard Venner, who is International Business Development Manager at CCCU. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we also have Sukanya from InUni Marketing team helping us to run this webinar smoothly. Just a few housekeeping rules before we start. You're all on mute. If you'd like to ask any questions whatsoever, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. So that's Q&A section rather than chat section. And we will take them from there at the end of the webinar. So I really hope you can stay with us till the end. The webinar is also being recorded. So in case if you miss anything, we will share the recording with you later on as well. And before we start, just to remind to our partners and students that we still accept applications, new applications for postgraduate programs at CCCU for January 2026 intake via GAS Gateway portal. So if you're a student, please reach out to your educational advisor agency dealing with your application. If you are our partner, you should have access to the GAS Gateway portal. In case of any technical issues, as always, please feel free to reach out to our InUni CCCU team on the ground in your relevant region. So for International Foundation, you can still appear for consultation session, but you need to do so as soon as possible, ideally by the end of this week. You normally receive consultation link, which is unique to yourself, directly to your email ID if you're a student. In case if you haven't received it, but you've received an offer already issued by our admissions team, please let us know so we can look into that and you can appear for your consultation. Please ensure you are prepared for your consultation session, meaning you have done some research on CCCU, why you're choosing this university, what are your future career aspirations or future study plans. For example, if you're coming for foundation, I would assume you would like to continue your studies in the UK and perhaps at CCCU specifically on a bachelor's degree. So please be prepared. Please also submit all your missing documents via GAS Gateway if you are our partner, or if you're a student, obviously do send them to your educational advisor at the soonest. Those missing documents are normally listed within your initial conditional offer letter, and we're reiterating on the same documents again once you've passed your consultation. But the sooner you submit it, the better, again, by the end of this week if you're applying for foundation, because for foundation, it's an earlier deadline. If you're applying for any of the postgraduate programs, you still have a bit of time to submit your applications next week as well. But again, the deadlines are approaching very fast. And when it comes closer to the deadlines, of course, admissions, compliance, and everyone else is becoming a little bit busier. So the sooner you submit your applications, the better. And I would also like to take this opportunity to remind to everyone, given recent UKVI updates, that it's important you submit your personal statement without any use of AI. And obviously it shouldn't be plagiarized, because the universities across the UK are becoming stricter when making assessments of your personal statement. So please ensure that you write your own personal statements if you're a student. And obviously make sure that you've highlighted why you're choosing CCCU, why you're choosing UK, why this specific program, and how that's going to help your future plans as well, because your interview would also be linked to the personal statement that you submitted. We have seen a number of rejected cases due to personal statements, so please ensure you submit those personal statements at early stages of application, just not to delay the process. If you have already gone through all of the stages I've mentioned and submitted missing documents, and perhaps you have even received unconditional offer letter from CCCU, congratulations, that's amazing news. Please arrange your deposit payment at the soonest, simply because it does take time to allocate the payment within the university system. Especially if a third party perhaps has been used, but do ensure you engage with the payment tile within your CCCU student portal. And if you have done so and you booked your precast interview slot with the university, again, please ensure you are well prepared. The team on the ground from the uni CCCU side is more than happy to support you with your preparations, to arrange mock sessions, perhaps, just to ensure that you do have high chances of passing your precast interview. And the next stage would, of course, be applying for your CAS request in case if you have already passed your precast interview. So the sooner you apply for your CAS, the better, because you have more time to, again, submit your visa application and arrive on time for your inductions at CCCU, or perhaps you would like to arrive in the UK even earlier, around Christmas time. As you know, you can normally arrive 1 month prior to the start date of the classes. So you're more than welcome to arrive in December if you wish and experience Christmas in the UK, which is a lovely, lovely thing to do. All right, I guess that's just some major reminders to our audience. I will stop talking now and we will jump into the session here and discuss with academics that we have what makes CCCU such an attractive choice for international students, especially those looking to study January 2026 intake programs. Kevin, Lorna, would you like to start?
You going, Lorna?
Yeah, I was looking at you. I mean, I'm happy to start. Just as a starting statement, really lovely to see you and thank you for coming and listening. And we want to extend a warm welcome to you at CCCU and our conversations today. And we very much look forward to hopefully seeing quite a few of you on campus in the coming months. And if you are on campus and you do recognize myself or Kevin, please do stop us to say hello and that you were part of an in-uni webinar. That would be really wonderful, actually, and maybe we could have a selfie and send it to Dama and Richard, etc. Anyway, to sort of start answering the question of what makes CCCU a great attractive choice for international students, really the answer is endless. Canterbury Christ Church University, we offer a combination of academic quality and a lot of personal support. And it's a very welcoming and an inclusive environment and community. For international students, CCCU particularly stands out as we have a very strong global international outlook, career-focused courses, and a safe and student-friendly environment of Canterbury. Canterbury is a wonderful city. Our campus is in Canterbury itself. So it is in the heart of Canterbury. It is part of Canterbury. We have a wonderful campus, a very attractive campus, a friendly campus. We are very much embedded in the wider city. As this webinar started, we graduate in our very grand and glorious cathedral with wonderful ceremonies 2 or 3 times a year. And that's, we walk to these ceremonies, so we're very, very close. Canterbury is a very safe city and a welcoming city to international students, tourists, everybody, basically. Kevin, should I pass over to you?
You should. You were gradually ticking off all the points I had to say there, Lorna. But if I can just add, I suppose that's something I like about Canterbury, and I've done some of my own studies here, so I've always known the city very well, is that you can walk everywhere. It's a really, really convenient place to live. So as Lorna said, it's comfortable, it's safe, it's historic, it's beautiful. So for my study choices, apart from the courses which we have, which we'll be talking about a lot this morning, I would also emphasize the environment with which you're studying. The huge library near our main campus, or everything next to the city itself. So everything is very, very convenient and very helpful to make your study progress smoothly, I would say. Thank you.
And to add to that, all our courses have a very, very strong emphasis on employability. Employability is at the key, at the heart of all that we design, and the support networks. It's very important to us that you have good employment with good career progressions, and Christ Church is nearly always in the top 10 out of the UK universities for employability. And that is something that I'm sure we'll eke out over the year. But we have relatively small class sizes, and that's really important to us. We actually want to get to know you. We want to know your name. When we pass you in the corridor, we want to say hello specifically to you. Support, which helps our international student transition smoothly, not just to Christ Church, but to the UK and generally. And that's something very, very much at the core of us welcoming and embedding international students into our routine courses and the way of running things. You'll also experience quite an international body of staff. Our staff, I'm just speaking on behalf of our business school at the moment. I think we have over 30 nationalities. Of course, a lot of British staff, of course, a lot of European staff, but staff from all over the world. So you're bound to find a member of staff from where you are, which always helps with settling in.
Some fantastic and inspiring answers. Thank you so much. And I can see we have Claire Street who joined us. Thank you so much for joining us, Claire, who's Senior Lecturer and Course Director of MBA International, one of the popular programs at CCCU Business School. Hi, Claire. Would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, hi, and I apologize, I was a little bit late. I was actually teaching, okay. So I had to rush over here. Yes, I'm just going to reiterate what Lorna said. The wonderful thing about our MBA and MSc, and the business school as a whole is that we do have a diverse teaching staff and also an incredibly diverse group of students. So especially for something like an MBA, that international perspective is very valuable in globally in the world of business. But we get an opportunity to kind of model that because we have such a diverse cohort of students and teaching staff.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Claire. All right. So within this session, obviously, we highlight 3 key programs. So MBA International, MSc International Business, and International Foundation Year. If you could please tell us what makes each of these programs unique within CCCU's academic offering. Would you like to start, Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin's going to go first.
Sorry.
Okay.
So Laura doesn't steal all the information this time. So I'm focusing on today on International Foundation Program, and I would say the uniqueness here comes in what I would describe as cultural climatization. It's really about learning how to study in a UK higher education environment. There is a lot of support and help in making that adjustment from having previously studied in your own country to the different requirements of studying in the UK. So that's a really important element that goes beyond what foundation programs will also be doing, that is improving your language skills and improving your academic skills. But what I feel we do extra is that cultural understanding part, so that it's not just about language and academic skills, it's more than that. We're also very supportive, both in an informal sense. All of the tutors are very experienced in dealing with international students and their particular needs, both academic and outside. For example, different people have different issues, perhaps with their accommodation or something like this, and our tutors are aware that these things can be important for international students, in particular studying away from home. And just probably one more thing to say is there is a really big focus on integrating our foundation students, who are all international, into the university as a whole. So we're not a separate part just dealing with foundation. We are an integrated part of the whole university, and that's a big focus throughout the course. Over to you, Claire.
Yes, both the MBA and the MSc courses have a sort of a 98% international cohort. And I think just what Kevin was saying about integrating people, is something that we place at the heart of what we're doing. For example, when students arrive, I often have my sort of welcoming speech, to empathize, because a lot of the teaching staff have also come from other countries, and we know where you're coming from, and how difficult it is to transition, not only culturally but academically. So we do, right from the beginning, empathize with students to say, look, we get it, we understand, and our job here is to guide you, to support you through that transition. And we do focus a lot of that on our first trimester, getting people acclimatized, understanding, and sort of bridging. We've got people from all over the world, so we spend time helping students to transition to a different way of learning as well. And then hopefully, the subsequent trimesters, you've kind of established yourself and feeling a bit more confident, and then we can really sort of fly. But that first, we definitely acknowledge that first trimester is difficult. You've come, somewhere else, you've got a whole new life and have to make new friends, and so we provide a lot of support in that first trimester.
Fabulous.
Yes, that's
me.
me.
Thank you so much. And would you like to add anything, Lorna, on this?
I was trying to unmute then. No, I think Claire and Kevin said it beautifully. I mean, the only thing I would add is that I do know, just linking to what I said before, all 3 courses are quite, designed with the student in mind, with employability in mind. with the student experience in mind, with passing and passing well in mind. So all 3 courses, this is embedded, and these make it quite unique in the market. And I think that's important to say. Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you so much all for your answers. So speaking of employability, and I know Lorna touched on this earlier as well, many students are career driven and want some global exposure. How does CCCU ensure that these courses prepare graduates for international leadership and employability?
I'll answer that. One thing that is quite unique about our MBA specifically, and I will touch on the MSc as well, but the MBA is a graduate MBA, and you know, for a very long time, graduates were excluded from MBA because it was, you know, you needed that work experience. Executive MBAs were very, you know, expensive, or, you know, there were sort of exams that you had to write to get in. So they were quite exclusionary. Our MBA is, as I said, it's a graduate MBA, and we're looking to build the foundations of future leaders. So students are coming in, and we are giving them the tools to move into those positions that that the MBA actually gives you access to. So we spend a lot of time teaching students about strategizing, being entrepreneurial, as opposed to kind of you know, managing or organizational. We spend a lot of time sort of mentally preparing them as well to understand what is required of leadership. So they're going to go into the world of work, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to walk into those positions, but they've got that foundational knowledge, you know, that they can use alongside the experience that they are going to gain.
Fabulous. Kevin,
I just have to do a very, very small addition. Of course, we're at foundation level as a course, and there are many years of study to follow. So effectively what we're doing in terms of employability is putting the building blocks on which later courses will develop. For example, the basic skills involved with giving a presentation. So we're at a kind of lower level in that sense, but we're putting those things in place so that by the time students get to higher levels of study, they can cope with the kinds of things that Claire was saying.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, speaking of the location of CCCU, and it's located in such a beautiful city of Canterbury, and it's a very distinctive location. So how does studying in this historic yet student-friendly city enhances the students' experience of CCCU?
Well, I would say that although we're a city, you can walk from one side of Canterbury to the other in half an hour. You know, the centre of Canterbury is a hub, but I think being able to be involved. Sorry, I'm going to have to do this because the lights have gone off in my room. In order to participate in the university, being in such close proximity to the university is really useful, because students can engage in those extracurricular activities. That is hugely important in your journey. So being in a place that is walkable, you know, beautiful campuses. The other thing is that we have another university, so there's, you know, there is you know, it's a city full of young people. You know, there's plenty of opportunities to get involved in societies, and yeah. So I think just being in that hub, yeah, is beneficial for students.
Perfect, thank you. I think Lorna would like to add something.
Yeah, just to add to that, Canterbury, as a city, as Claire said, we are a city. It's a small city. We're very, very historic. We've got over 2,000 years of history, very important history actually to the rest of the UK. It's vibrant and cosmopolitan. We are Many parts of the city is UNESCO World Heritage Site, and in fact, part falls within that. And as Claire said, with a large student population, which creates a very perfect balance between, say, cultural richness and modern student life. I'm saying we're a historic city with some wonderful medieval streets. At the same time, we're a very modern city with all the modern shops and brands that you recognize. Our city is just coming alive this weekend because the Christmas markets are just going live. So the Christmas decorations and the Christmas market makes it even more special, really, just to walk around. So I think for international students, it's, as I said at the beginning, it's it's easy to navigate. We're just 1 hour on the high-speed train into central London. That's very, very important to many staff and actually lots of students. So it gives you access, very easy access to the heart of London. But whilst you're enjoying a nice, peaceful environment that supports study and community life. We all live in Canterbury. My children have grown up in Canterbury for all these reasons, actually. And I think it's very obvious when staff who live in Canterbury want to stay in Canterbury and see their children grow up in Canterbury. I can speak for many members of staff who truly love the city. And you'll see that in the teaching and some of the case studies. And it's at times quite easy just to walk into the city to help you with assessments and with your case studies. So yeah, it is a really wonderful place to live and work, I have to say.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we actually also have some success stories where students graduated from CCCU and decided to continue their full employment at Canterbury itself. In Canterbury, so rather than moving to big cities like London, which you said is only 1 hour away, they actually prefer to be in Canterbury. It's a safe environment. Like you mentioned, it's walkable. So it's a really, really lovely place to be. At the same time, it's very touristic, because of the history, because of obviously there are lots of hotels, the beach is not too far in case if students would like to unwind maybe over the weekend and go to the coastline, shops, galleries, everything is pretty much there. But we also have sometimes students who perhaps have relatives or friends living in London, and perhaps they would like to live in London because it might be more convenient in terms of accommodation arrangements. So it's easy to commute to Canterbury a few days per week. And for foundation students, we strongly encourage to actually book accommodation on campus, simply because obviously it's still very, very young applicants, and we want to make sure that they are close to the university and accommodation is all on site. So it's very easy to reach and it gives peace of mind to your parents. For postgraduate applicants, sometimes they prefer to live in a bigger city, but then come to CCCU a few days a week, which is also feasible. But all in all, it's a great location, and our students who are already studying in CCCU love it, which is fantastic. Great. What opportunities or new initiatives are in place to support international students joining CCCU this January?
I'm happy to talk about this one, Dagina, because we now have
Sure.
our fantastic Global Gateway, which is located in our brand new student zone. So we have our international student ambassadors who are on hand to meet and greet and deal with any challenges or questions that our new and our existing international students might have. So yeah, the Global Gateway, a fantastic new initiative and a new addition to our campus.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Richard, excellent. Okay, well, speaking of the MBA and MSc International Business programs, do applicants need prior work experience, or can fresh graduates apply as well? Any key entry criteria would you like to highlight, perhaps?
Well, yes, as I mentioned, this is a graduate MBA, so you don't need any prior work experience. We have a balance. We have students who have both work experience And I'd probably say it's probably about half-half, and then some students who've just finished their undergraduate and come straight into the MBA. And that's really useful because it, you know, it gives us a really sort of rounded cohort that's, you know, people are learning from each other. There's a lot of peer learning as well. The criteria is a 2 undergraduate degree. We have obviously an IELTS 6.5, so there is a level of English that's required. A lot of the terminology, you know, business English. I mean, I would say that it's also an excellent opportunity, and people develop their language very quickly. But yes, so it's a 2-2 for the for an undergraduate IELTS of 6.5, and there is, because it's a graduate MBA, there is no prior work experience required.
Perfect. So students who have just completed bachelor's degree back in their home country and it's equivalent to 2-2 in the UK could also apply, which is fantastic. But in case if you do have a bit longer study gap, maybe you have had some experience, or maybe you were just doing part-time job or volunteer work, or maybe simply preparing for IELTS, please do justify your study gap within your personal statement, and also provide an up-to-date CV as well, because this will be also raised within our consultation session, potentially interview as well with universities. We want to make sure that all your study gaps are justified. But as Claire mentioned, the university is quite flexible in terms of accepting both mature applicants, but also fresh graduates as well, which is fantastic. And also, depending where you're coming from, for example, if you come from India, there are certain boards that can be accepted as a proof of English if you achieved 70% in English at least. So we have a number of boards in India, like Gujarat, for example, or some boards in South India and beyond. So please double check with our team on the ground on the exact entry criteria, so we can look into your specific case. Apart from IELTS, we also accept a number of other English tests as well. One of the convenient options for students, especially in case if you're applying a little bit last minute before the deadline, is Oxford International English test, which you can take online, and you can normally receive results very quickly as well. So in case if you still haven't arranged your proof of English, please obviously consider one of those options. If you are applying for a standalone international foundation program, though, you would need to provide UKVI CELT, so that's UKVI IELTS or Pearson, just to mention to those applying for foundation. Excellent. And in terms of the deadline, so like I mentioned earlier, if you are applying for international foundation, you should have ideally submitted your application to GUS and via GUS Gateway already if you're our partner. And please arrange your missing documents by the end of this week, ideally, and also appear for consultation, which is done via InUni AI tool. And you should have received your individual link straight after your conditional offer letter. So please double check. In case of any issues, please notify our team on the ground at the soonest so they can fix it for you via the interview team. Now, in terms of the deadlines for the postgraduate program, so we have 25th of November. So you have a little bit of time, but I strongly encourage you to submit your application via GUS Gateway at the soonest, or if you're a student, even earlier, submitting it to your education advisor, just to ensure that you tick all the criteria, provide all the required documents, and can go from there. So that's in terms of the actual application. If you've already past those stages, which is fantastic, and you've received your unconditional offer letter, you would need to arrange your deposit no later than 25th of November for foundation. And reminder for international foundation, I can see one of the questions from the audience is, what is the deposit payment arrangements for various programs. So for foundation, we do require a full tuition fee for your course purposes. So tuition fee at Canterbury Christ Church University is already quite affordable. It's 15,500. You also receive international grant, which is £1,500. In addition to that, great news, CCCU offers early bird discounts. So if you're paying full fee, which is a requirement for foundation, you would need to pay £13,000 in total, meaning you save extra £1,000. So in total, £2,500 saving. So that's £13,000 for the international foundation for your course purposes. And for postgraduate programs, £5,000 is the minimum deposit. However, we again encourage you to take this offer of early bird discount, and if you pay in full, you will receive additional £1,000 discount as well. So if you're paying £13,000, then again, obviously you're saving £2,500. The tuition fee is the same for both foundation and postgraduate programs as well. Or if you decide to only pay additional £5,000 on top of your deposit of £5,000, then you will receive early bird discount, which is £500 only, but you need to pay that before 9th of December for the PG programs. So you might as well just proceed and benefit from a total of £1,000 additional early bird discount. I hope it's not confusing, but if it is, we will send a reminder to our partners and students just to make sure you are clear on all discounts available and the deadlines, and obviously the international scholarship information, etc. Okay, going back to our questions for the academics. What are some of the key modules or subjects taught in the MSc International Business?
Okay, so currently the MBA and the MSc actually share some modules. So I'll kind of go through them and I'll explain how the two programs work alongside each other, but then kind of split. So the MSc, we have 3 cohorts that come in. It's a little bit kind of complicated, but we have a sort of carousel system, and we have 3 cohorts that come in January, June, and September. And students will come in and start with 3 core modules, and depending on when you arrive, it'll be whenever, it depends on when you arrive, which of those 3 modules you start with. But I could give, for example, this trimester we've started with global economics and international finance, strategy and globalization, and international human resource management. Sorry. These are great modules because they kind of set up the sort of core foundational knowledge that students need to then move on. Then in the second trimester, the students will take, or you will take, innovation, entrepreneurship, and the international perspective. So they're quite long titles, so I have to sort of brace myself before I start. So innovation, entrepreneurship, and the international perspective, international marketing and business communication, and then the 2 programs, or the 2 courses actually split, where the MBA students will take a market research module, and the MSc students will take a research methods module. And so the MSc are going on a much more sort of theoretical route. They will then culminate in writing a dissertation. The MBA students are looking at market research, which is a much more practical aspect, and they're looking at a sort of more entrepreneurial route, and so it culminates in a business plan report. And then there is another shared module, which is a leadership, employability, and careers focused module, which both students talk. And that's really useful because you get a lot of input on, how to get yourself on LinkedIn, how to develop your CV, and opportunities through our career development. They come in and hold some of those module sessions to get students to sort of understand, you know, what's the process of finding a job now, and so there's quite a lot of support in that module as well. Yes.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Claire. Speaking of MBA, what's the difference between MBA International and traditional MBA, especially in terms of the international focus?
Well, again, because this is not a sort of traditional MBA that's executive MBA, it is a graduate MBA. But in terms of our MBA, the international aspect, every module looks at the content from a global perspective. So we're trying to get students to constantly look at. The other thing that's really important is that we use a lot of case study, but not, you know, we're trying to move away from the sort of traditional Western, you know, and looking at case studies that are global. And we've had a really positive response from students, so that we're not just looking at the 4 main ones, you know, so monopolies. We, you know, obviously we introduce students to that, but we spend a lot of time looking at case studies from from global case studies, the wider world. What's really interesting is that we then get such a different perspective because we've got these international students looking at things from very different lenses.
Perfect. Thank you, Claire. And what's the main difference between MBA and MSc International Business for those students, especially who are still deciding which option to go for, what sort of opportunities they may have post-graduation as well?
I mean, so the MSc is a much more sort of traditional master's route in which there's a lot of theoretical content. And as I said, you have a dissertation which has a very kind of traditional structure. You know, there's a lit review and you know, a study, but it's in that sort of traditional dissertation. So everything you know, it's a very academic in terms of what you're drawing from to write that dissertation. The MBA is much more practical. You know, although we do have an academic framework, but we're mostly looking at sort of business models, practical application, and a lot more sort of hands-on. And I'm not to say that it's not academic as such, but I'll give you an example. So in a dissertation, you know, you'd stress the academia. In my business plan reports, I want students to be reading the Financial Times, you know, looking at what's happening today. How does the news affect? And that's one of the core modules that we have is market research. And we've got some great facilities at Christ Church. We actually have a Bloomberg room. We've got 10 terminals. This is a huge luxury that we have. You know, a lot of universities might have 2 or 3. We've got 10 terminals, and you can get up to the minute, you know, live. Well, there's a 50-minute delay because it's academic, but you've got this live data about markets, and especially for aspects like corporate social responsibility, you can utilize all this great software that we have to really sort of get cutting edge market research. So the difference is very much sort of what's happening in business, what's happening now is your MBA about networking. And then the MSc is, you know, it's very focused on that sort of academic side.
Fantastic. Thank you. So you kind of already covered that, but just to again reiterate, are these postgraduate courses more practical, which it sounds like, especially MBA, it is, and project-based or focused on theory and research?
Yeah, so the MSc is theory and research, you know, a lot of case study.
Yeah.
And like I said, we do share a lot of modules because there's some core foundational, you know, knowledge that we need to establish, but definitely the 2, you know, market research and the business plan report is much more practical. And I often say, look, you know, the dissertation is a use, you know, it's incredibly useful for this sort of academic pursuit. The business model, and of course I'm going to plug because I'm the course director for the MBA, but the business model, your business plan report, you could take that to the bank. I mean, there's not many things you finish after university and you've actually got a document that could help you, to find investors, or, to convince your grandmother that your business idea is great and she needs to give you some money. So yeah, so the MBA is internationally focused, but it's very much about an entrepreneurial mindset. It doesn't mean that you have to, that you're going to start a business, but the skills that we teach are practical based, that, but they're about establishing entrepreneurial thinking.
Fabulous, thank you. And I know CCCU focuses a lot on employability and is always in high positions amongst UK universities, specifically for employability rankings, which is fabulous. And I was actually lucky to visit CCCU when some career fairs took place and students were able to actually meet potential employers, but also there are some workshops that CCCU Career Services organizes to help students with their CV, to prepare them for interviews, and to obviously provide a list of opportunities they have with the employers they work with. But is there anything else additionally that CCCU does for their students during and after studies, perhaps in terms of the career support?
I'll just answer it from an MBA MSc point of view. I mean, what we are, I'm just trying to think how, for us, local partners, getting students to work on projects that are live, that are relevant, and we use a lot of our own networks so that there's nothing more valuable than understanding that the project that you work on is actually relates to a real business. So those networks of local business are hugely important. And I think, teaching students how to speak to different stakeholders. Sorry, I've got it's a energy saver. To teach them to speak to different stakeholders is a really good skill that we do spend a lot of time focusing on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. The employability factor, I think, is really, really important to students, especially those coming from overseas, because obviously it's a huge investment for them and their families. So they want to make sure that there is a return on investment as well. I know Kevin would have to leave promptly in 10 minutes. So I just wanted to ask some questions in regards with the foundation program and what sort of progression opportunities are there for students completing international foundation program, and whether it's more business related degrees or any other disciplines as well.
Well, just because of interest from international students, I would say 60–70% of our students go on to business related degrees. So that is the main bulk of our students. However, they can progress to the majority of the courses at CCCU. I would say the vast majority, 80–90%. The only ones they can't progress directly onto from foundation are ones with special requirements. An example would be if you're going on to study something music related, then you're likely to need to be able to, for example, play a musical instrument to a high level. Or if you're going into some health and nursing related courses, they have extra qualifications and demands needed. But for the majority of courses at Christ Church, you can enter them provided you pass the International Foundation year.
Oh, that's fabulous, because CCCU is well known for offering a wide range of undergraduate degrees, 100 plus, I believe, Richard, right? So it's a great opportunity for students who are only 18 years old to come and study International Foundation, like you said, improve their level of English, but also obviously their academic skills, and potentially decide as to which degree they would like to progress to once they have graduated, provided they've obviously achieved grades for foundation. I would imagine different degrees would require different grades for foundation in order to progress, right?
Yes, most of them just require passing, but there are one or two others. It's not here anymore. For example, the creative writing one, because you need to write a lot and at a very high level, required a higher threshold. Same for a journalism one, although that is no longer available anyway. So, but the majority of courses we have, you can get onto just with the International Foundation program.
Fantastic. And as long as they've passed, I would imagine that also counts as a proof of English, right? So they wouldn't need to retake another English test. Fabulous. Correct. You mentioned there is a lot of support offered to international students, and this program is specifically designed for international students. But what sort of class sizes are there? Is there a personalized teaching perhaps as well for International Foundation students? Do they have access to their tutor? How regularly can they speak to the tutor perhaps?
Yeah, and as I've said earlier, we're very focused on the needs of international students, and we've been running this program for more than 20 years. So we are very aware of the needs of international students. Class sizes, I would say generally not more than 20. And we try to keep language focused ones down to 15 to really focus on the language development side. Your tutors will get to know you very well because of the relatively small class sizes, and they will get to know your strengths, your weaknesses, your needs, what needs to be improved. They will praise you where you need where praise is there, and they will advise you where you need advice. They will get to know you very well. You will have a personal tutor, as all our courses, and they will be someone you can speak to on a one-to-one basis regularly about both your academic issues and anything outside the course that is concerning.
Oh, that's fantastic. It sounds like home from home, really. So a lot of support for international students there. And it was fantastic to learn that the foundation has been available there for many years. So do you have any success stories perhaps that come to mind where students completed their foundation successfully at CCCU, progressed on to a bachelor's degree within CCCU again, and went on to a successful career?
I do. I can answer most of that. The career, I'm not sure what they're doing now. We have one student who would have finished about a year ago his PhD. He went all the way through from International Foundation program, undergraduate, masters, and PhD.
Oh, wow.
I was speaking to the course director about him yesterday, and the reason for his success was his commitment and engagement in the subject from day one. From in the foundation year, he was already fully committed to his study, and that's why he became successful. And the course director even said he wasn't the very best in the class, but his engagement and commitment and will to succeed made him successful. But it's great when we see our students from the foundation year progressing through their future studies at undergraduate and sometimes postgraduate level. That feels like success to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, I guess. So yes, commitment, consistency, and like you said, engagement. So that's really good to hear that students do actually progress further. And I would imagine if they are at the stage of doing PhD, they're probably planning to be a professor perhaps at the university. So you never know, they might have a job at CCCU as well.
And this one was a scientist, so he went in that direction. So who knows?
Fantastic. And I guess it's a great way for students, like you mentioned at the beginning, to integrate with the university life at the foundation stage. So it actually helps them to then succeed and do better during their bachelor's degree. So do foundation students have access to the same facilities at the university and all the clubs and societies?
Yeah, they have 100% the same access to all facilities. There is no difference in a foundation year student to a year 1, year 2, year 3, master's, PhD. They have exactly the same access to everything.
Fantastic. And just a quick one, I guess, before we let you go, Kevin. Maybe Richard could help with that as well. In terms of accommodation, do foundation students have a guaranteed accommodation for their foundation and maybe first year of bachelor's, or how does it work?
Richard?
Yes, indeed they do. And we've got lots of accommodation options, Dagina. I mean, we talked a lot about Canterbury at the beginning and the affordability of Canterbury. And this also includes our student accommodation as well. A wide range of accommodation at very, very affordable prices, from 120 up to £200 per week. So much more affordable than other study destinations such as London, for example.
Fantastic. So that's really good, because I remember back in the day, I represented foundation provider in central London, actually. And yes, accommodation at the time, and that was a few years back, was around £1,500, £2,000 per month. And CCCU currently offers a fee of around, you said, 500, so 480 up to £600 per month, all bills inclusive, which is fantastic value for money.
Exactly, and you talked about the early bird discount as well, Dagina. So combined with that, in terms of our very affordable tuition fees, it's an amazing choice, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely agreed. Thank you so much. If you do have to leave to another meeting, Kevin, please feel free to do so. I think we've covered most of foundation questions. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to jump back into the postgraduate programs for the ladies. Okay. We've covered the kind of the structure questions. We've covered the career support as well. But are there any guest lectures or networking events or maybe company visits integrated into the actual curriculum for MBA and MSc International programs?
I apologize. I actually had to step away because I had a student knocking at my door. So I just, which is, yes, I have an open door. So people are coming in all the time.
Oh,
Sorry,
nice.
would you mind repeating that question?
Yeah, sure. So are there any guest lectures, networking events, or company visits integrated into the curriculum for MSc International Business and MBA programs?
Yes, so I can give an example. We have a local entrepreneur from Ramsgate who runs a multi-million-pound business, who has a wonderful entrepreneurial story, and he regularly comes in, sits with the students, has a very kind of approachable manner. He is originally actually from Pakistan, and so the students are kind of, they really can relate to his story, yeah. So we do offer opportunities, for students to meet with, especially local business, to come in, and there have actually been opportunities for our students to do, I like to give a specific example. So there was a design company that actually approached and said, we're looking for somebody who maybe, who's doing an MBA, but has a sort of design background. I did refer some students onto them. Yeah, and we do invite people to come in to share their story with our students regularly.
Fantastic. Thank you. And what kind of research or dissertation topics do students typically work on? I guess it varies. And are they linked to industry issues?
Yes, well, that's a prerequisite. Again, I have to speak about the two courses differently. For the MSc International, as I said, the students do a research module before they actually write their dissertation, and that's a time where they work very closely with the module tutors to develop their dissertation and their research question, and that it's all guided by the international perspective. Specifically for the MBA, the business plan actually has to include an international element. The other aspects that we that are part of the prerequisite for the business plan is an understanding of cultural nuance. So, you know, some of the ideas that students have had is for the business model is they've come up with a novel concept, a startup idea, and then a lot of the business plan is about how do you penetrate international markets. So it's very much embedded in everything that we teach. It's just that international perspective, and then the, you know, cross-cultural factors as well. We've had some amazing business ideas from students that, and I had a fantastic student recently from Iran who designed a product, went on to write his business plan, and then was actually offered investment from that business plan. Has gone on to now launch his business, and it was wonderful to see because he started off on LinkedIn as a student, and now he's hiring, and that is just a wonderful story. And the MBA is, you know, is very much focused on that kind of entrepreneurial vision. Yes. The other thing is that we've students also move on to, I've had, you know, written a lot of PhD references over the years, and there are a number of our MBA students who've gone on to do PhD or to start their own business.
Oh, that's really great to hear those success stories. Fantastic. How does CCCU integrate digital skills, data literacy, and sustainability themes into its business curriculum?
So the MBA has a real focus on circular economy. We spend a lot of time getting students to understand design thinking, so that they're coming to you know, any sort of strategy from a sort of empathetic viewpoint. Yeah, sorry, can you just repeat what you asked? Because I kind of went off and I got excited there. I tend to get passionate about what we're doing. So what was it exactly, what the other thing you said?
Yeah, sure. How does CCCU ensure that the oh, apologies. How does CCCU integrate digital skills?
So in terms of digital skills, you know, we're very much embracing you know, changes in the world, especially in terms of AI. We are embedding it into our curriculum provision.
Brilliant.
So that students have these skills when they go out into the workplace. You know, especially in terms of teaching innovation, entrepreneurship, I'm encouraging students all the time. We use it in the classroom. You know, how can we sort of build on this knowledge, and very much a focus on that the world is changing, and that, you know, knowledge gathering is not the biggest skill anymore. What we're trying to do is get the AI to do that, and then we've got time to think about things and to be critical, to analyze. So we've really kind of embraced AI in terms of our provision to free up space for our students so we then have more time to focus on the critical skills, which is fundamental for employability. You know, it's what industry says they want. You know, students who are critical. Yeah.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I can see there is a question in regards with part-time work, so I guess I can just answer this very quickly to the audience and to remind to everyone that students coming to study in the UK can still work part-time, so it's 20 hours if you're coming to study undergraduate or postgraduate. Degree, so it's 20 hours per week. If you're coming to study International Foundation, which is a standalone course, you can work 10 hours per week, and you can work full-time during holidays. Once you have graduated successfully with undergraduate or postgraduate degree, if you're planning to gain some experience in the UK, you can apply for graduate route visa, or some may call it post-study work visa. But you need to obviously make sure you've successfully graduated and you've passed your degree. You don't have to have a job offer, which is fantastic, but if you secure a job, that's even better. And like we mentioned earlier, obviously CCCU focuses a lot on employability, and it sounds like there are lots of success stories at the university with international students as well, which was really great to hear those examples. Let me just take a few questions from the audience, because I can see we're already running out of time, and I think Zoom will have to kick us out at some point. Okay, so the question is in regards with intake details. So we have the earliest intake, so the soonest intake you have is January intake. So that's for international foundation and postgraduate programs. So you have a list of postgraduate programs available, including MBA and MSc International Business, but there are also programs like MA Education, MSc Global Public Health, MSc Data Intelligence, MSc Cybersecurity Technology as well, which also come with optional work placement in case if you consider any of those subject areas, but do submit obviously your applications at the earliest. How long does it take to receive an offer letter? So you normally submit application via GAS Gateway if you are our partner, and you receive your student's offer letter, which is sent directly to the student, looping you in within 48 hours, which will also outline any missing documents. And straight after that offer letter is issued, students also receive consultation link, which they would need to appear for, but firstly they would need to make sure they're prepared. So in case of any questions, please first speak to our team on the ground. Do not go for consultation if you are not prepared, because we want to make sure that you have high chances of passing. And you normally have one attempt for consultation, unless there were some technical issues perhaps, which we obviously want to avoid, especially we're reaching deadlines very, very quickly. There isn't that much time, and we want to make sure that all students receive CAS in plenty of time and apply for visa way before Christmas, and obviously arrive in the UK as early as possible. CAS letter. So the university is already issuing CAS letters for January intake. Some students who perhaps miss September intake for various reasons, including maybe delays with visa applications, were deferred, and we've received some CAS letters. But in case if you haven't, please again reach out to our team and we can defer your application to make sure that you received your CAS letter. But if you have already submitted a new application and met all the obviously criteria and received your unconditional, arranged your deposit, please ensure you've appeared for your pre-CAS interview and submit your CAS request via the university portal. And obviously your CAS would be considered within normally 5 working days, unless it's a specific case which needs to be maybe checked a few times by various compliance stakeholders. And please ensure you've obviously provided all the required documents. I can see some questions in regards with personal statement. So given recent UKVI updates, like I mentioned, many universities are now becoming a little bit stricter in terms of the processes, and some universities even stop recruiting in some high-risk regions. Of course, we don't want to do that. We want to welcome students from various countries, but we also want to make sure that students coming to study at CCCU are genuine students and they would be also able to cope with the program successfully. So please ensure you write your personal statement yourself. We've shared the guideline previously, but again, if you haven't received, maybe again reach out to our team on the ground and some of the AI tools used to check on your personal statement, which is important. So please ensure you don't actually use AI to write your personal statement, because that will be highlighted and unfortunately your application might be rejected. So please ensure you write personal statement yourself. Okay, could you please explain how the MSc International Business and MBA will help students in terms of skills development and future career opportunities? And maybe there are some examples. I know you've mentioned some MBA graduates went on to establishing their own businesses, but maybe you have any other examples of students securing jobs at some companies, perhaps in the UK, whether it's MSc International Business graduates or MBA graduates?
Yes, in terms of, was the question in terms of skill set?
Yeah, so how the programs like MSc International Business and MBA would help students in terms of the skills development and future career opportunities. Yeah, and if there are maybe any examples of students securing full-time jobs post-graduation. Yeah, like you mentioned, some of them obviously open their businesses, but maybe there are also other examples of actually securing jobs at companies in the UK, perhaps, or elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our focus is on case study, understanding how business works, utilizing business models, but we spend a lot of time teaching students how to utilize whatever they're learning in a different context. So, for example, yes, we're doing case studies, but the skill of writing reports, being able to present to various stakeholders, these are all skills that are transferable skills that are not just for the topic. So we're teaching skills that when you go into the world of business and you have to present an idea, you can utilize all of those skills no matter what the topic is. So that's very much a core focus. But also we're constantly led by research. So our teaching is research informed. We're looking at what is happening in industry, what are the focuses on. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we sort of looking at design thinking, the circular economy, SDGs. These are all incorporated into everything we teach because this is what industry is looking for. A real focus on sustainability, understanding the development of models that perhaps we've been teaching, or business schools have been teaching for 10, 15 years are now evolving. And it's actually quite an exciting time to be in business schools because a lot of those models that came in the 80s and that we've been using for all these years are now all of a sudden transforming because there's, we need to start worrying about sustainability, to look at waste management. So there's opportunities for development of those models. And I think, those are skill sets that, our students can take no matter what jobs that they go into. Yes, we've had students move into consultancies, and sometimes it's interesting because the nature of the MBA is that students come from very different bachelors. So we will have, for example, in one cohort, I had somebody with a PhD in architecture, and then a medical doctor. Sorry, I'm doing this again to try and get my light to go back on. A medical doctor, an entrepreneur, somebody who studied chemistry. So we have such an exciting group of students because they come from such diverse backgrounds. The other thing, oh yeah, that's fine. It's okay. I'll talk forever. And I know we're
Perfect. Thank you. I can see the marketing team is already giving me a heads up that we are running out of time. So I would just like to ask maybe Lorna if you would like to add anything before we wrap up.
No, I think it's been beautifully run. The only thing I'd say that once you're Canterbury Christ Church students or CCCU students, you are our students for life and you are become our alumni. And as our alumni for a period, you are entitled to support with CVs and employment advice, even advice how to set up a meeting. But our alumni network is really, really exciting. And we often invite alumni from all over the world to helpers, to give guest lectures, to give opportunities and so on. So we really hope that you ultimately become part of that alumni, that very precious alumni network to us in the future. So you're not just with us for the year or the 2 years. You are with us, and we're interested in what you do and how you progress and where you go. And that's very important to us. Yeah, so that's what I'd like it to end on.
Perfect. That's a really, really inspiring, I guess, ending. So if you are a student coming to study at CCCU this January, or maybe you're considering even next year intake, in case if you can't make it this January, we really look forward to welcoming you at CCCU. And as Lorna mentioned, you will be Canterbury student for life, which is fantastic to hear. Thank you so much once again, Lorna, Claire, Richard, and Sukanya, for all your help with this webinar. Thank you to our audience. If you are our partner, please ensure you submit students' applications and the missing documents and everything else at the soonest, because we are reaching deadlines very, very soon. And stay tuned for more webinars to come. We'll have another webinar next week. So we'll see you there. Thank you and bye-bye.